everybody. Welcome to another episode. You know, by now, we're really picky on finding the best guests out there with a different story to tell. And that's why we named this podcast Helping B2B High Ticket Service Providers One Lesson at a Time. And for today, I actually found Sean, and we have a history with Sean. I mean, 3-4 months ago, I think, I actually was a guest on his podcast, which was the Leadership Stack. So if you want some more value, go to his podcast. But other than that, I mean, Sean is the CEO of SEO Hacker. He comes from Philippines, and I'm going to stop here because then, Sean, what are you going to talk about? So welcome to the show, Sean.
Thanks for having me, Danshu. I'm honored to be here.
I'm really excited because, you know, we tried different topics. I mean, we were talking on previous guests about book publishing. We talked about podcast creation. We talked about processes. So really different angle. And for today, the SEO, I really wanted to get someone that knows their stuff. But before we dig into it, I mean, Sean, perhaps it's a good idea to give us a bit introduction for the people that don't know you. I don't know who you are, what you do, how you got where you are, to give us some background, actually.
For sure. I'm an author of 2 books, CEO at 22 and 50X Your Business. They're both on Amazon. And why I'm mentioning these things, because my book, CEO at 22, tells my story of how I became an entrepreneur. I had only 1,300 pesos in my bank account, and that's somewhere $65. That's really what I used as capital to start SEO Hacker. I bought the domain name. I bought the 1 gigabyte worth of hosting. And it was the cheap kind of hosting, like the one that gets hacked all the time.
The one that you need more money on support rather than actually.
That's right. That's the one. And I got that for a year. I started blogging everything I was learning about SEO. And people started to notice my stuff, share my stuff on Twitter, LinkedIn, and they started inquiring. They started getting freelance clients and referrals. So I was a freelancer back then. No company name. And SEO Hacker was just a blog. It was not a legal entity for me to do business here. Mm-hmm. And, you know, fast forward a couple of years, we got some big accounts coming in and they don't deal with freelancers. So I had to register as a sole proprietor. And then fast forward like 5 years later, one of the biggest malls here in the country actually did business with me, and they required us to incorporate. So now it's a corporation. I still own an overwhelming majority of the shares and that's because I just gave some away to family members like my wife, my brother. And so it's really a company that I still, if you could say, quite fully owned. And now it's a $1 million company here in the Philippines, which, you know, I think that's pretty good considering that we're a third world country and there's not a lot of businesses here that actually hit that mark.
Yeah, and Sean, if you ask me, bootstrapping a business is really hard. I mean, BizB is not my first company. It's like a third or fourth already. And starting with $50-$60 or even $100, I mean, you really try to be creative, take the best entrepreneurship out of you to figure out how to connect the dots without spending money on it. And I'm curious because that is a sequence of events that many people share because, you know, I work at something I start getting good at. I start working with freelancers, either freelance platforms or individual clients. And as you're becoming better and better, you're actually getting bigger and better clients, actually. So you've managed to get it to the $1 million marks. And time frame, how long actually took this place?
So I started SEO Hacker 2010, April. So it's 11 years now, a little over 11 years now. Yeah.
And I'm sure that in 2010, when people were talking SEO, it would be funny to compare it to the current SEO because Facebook, it was there, but at the moment it was starting. Twitter, I don't know if it was in that time already there.
They were, but, you know, especially here in the Philippines where we are like a decade to a century behind the rest of the world. Like no one knew what SEO was. When you say SEO, they scratch their heads and say, what's that? Can you explain that to us? And it was very difficult to sell SEO. And actually one of the things that we're going to be discussing today is SEO itself. And really, that's how I grew the business. I wasn't doing any outbound marketing, no cold calling, cold emails. Mm-hmm. I didn't even ask for referrals from friends and from clients who were happy about our work, which, a lot of business owners do. So I didn't even do that. It's just really ranking for keywords like SEO Philippines, SEO Services Philippines, and a host of other keywords similar to that. And clients kept on coming in. It's really just passive, perpetual leads that are
organic traffic. People that have a problem start Googling it, and you are like on the top of Google research.
That's right.
And tell us the secret. I don't believe in secrets or in shortcuts. I always take the hardest route because I know that very few people are taking the hard route and it's less crowded when it comes to competition. But I'm genuinely interested because our target audience of this show is high ticket service providers. And we call that like all the consulting coaches, agencies, and software companies. And I'm sure that even me as BizB, I'm curious to figure out how you manage to find the right keywords first, because it's not like random keywords. And then what did you do to actually get on top?
So it doesn't take a lot of genius to realize that SEO Philippines is the toughest keyword in our country, because that's every SEO, whether you're a freelancer, a sole proprietor, a corporate entity, is trying to get that keyword. And I tried to own it, or to rank for it at the number one spot all the way since I started. I tried already, and I'd be on the first, second, or third place. Right now, we're on the number one spot, and we've been there for quite a long time already. And in terms of the process I use, you're right. There's no secret sauce or a magic formula. SEO is a discipline, and there's over 200 publicly known ranking factors that Google itself has published. All you need to do is study up on that. And then there are those unpublished ranking factors.
The rules.
That, you just got to figure out for yourself and experiment for yourself. But the unpublished ones aren't that weighty. The published ones are. So all you really got to do is to study the published ones. And often, if you're not in an extremely competitive industry, you can rank pretty well. So some of the things that we look out for are, of course, the keywords, or your keywords in the website. Because if it's not, then there's no real way you're going to rank for that. There's only one website who ranks for a keyword that's not in their site, and that's Coca-Cola. If you search for soft drinks, Coca-Cola ranks really well. But that's because their branding is in the extreme. They've been doing they've been doing soft drinks ever since they started. They're one of the biggest, most renowned soft drinks brand out there internationally. Mm-hmm. Other than Coke, there's no other website that ranks well for a keyword that doesn't exist in their website. So it has to exist. And where do you place it? Keyword placement is another factor. Is it in your URL slug? Is it in your title tag? Is it in your article title? And those two, yes, they're different things. The article title is usually an H1 tag, not a title tag. The title tag is in the HTML, and that's what Google displays in the search results. That's the large blue text that people can click. So are your keywords in those places? Is it in the first paragraph? Is it above the fold, below the fold? Keyword, and that's just keyword placement, right? There's so many things that you could play with just with that factor, keyword placement. And then there's keyword density, which a lot of people have a thumbs up, thumbs down reaction with, because a lot of people would say keyword density doesn't matter. Just make sure your article sounds great and you're using a lot of synonyms, and that's fine. There's so many takes on this, but the general rule is your keywords have to be there, should be in the best places. And of course, if the topic of your article or your landing page is about that keyword, you'd want that keyword to appear more than one time. All right. So we don't really measure keyword density in SEO Hacker. Before they would say 1% is good, but we don't really measure it. But if what you're writing about is really about the topic of the keyword, then you're going to be mentioning it more than one time. Site speed, of course, is a factor. Your site or your web page has to load 2 seconds or less. Do you smush images? Is it too big of a file? Do you use a CDN or a content delivery network to make sure that your images and all the static files are loading faster? Like, we could go deep and technical on this, and there's so much stuff.
let's not go there. That's for me to understand you. And I think that I will confuse even other people. But now that I'm listening to you opened a few questions that I wanted to ask you. First is, as a consultant, I want to own a few keywords, if you know me. But the whole differentiation is more on a strategic level, whether I should go for the main keywords like SEO Philippines, or maybe I should go toward few niches instead of going to the main. And I'm sure that you've had plenty of clients that had that dilemma, whether I should go for, I don't know, let's take BizB, whether it's a better idea to go after B2B lead generation, or whether we should go for B2B lead generation for consultants, B2B prospecting for software companies, which is bit lower traffic, bit less crowd. And generally, Sean, what would be recommendation in A versus B?
If you could get both, that would be best, because
yeah, you're right.
If you could get the we call that the fat head. If it's just two keywords, that we call that the fat head. There's the chunky middle, 3 to 4 keywords, and then there's the long tail, which is 5 keywords or more within one search phrase. You're asking me about long tail versus the fat head. If you could get both, of course, that would be best. We get the fat head, even though the intent of the user searching may not be laser focused, they might not be a hot lead, but it's pretty darn good bragging rights if you're ranking for that, right? So in my case, ranking for SEO Philippines, we might not be getting like the hottest lead from that, but when I present, and that's exactly my business, right? SEO, that's what I serve. Then it's pretty darn good bragging rights. And we close a lot of deals because of that. But if you're not like SEO Hacker, who, were fortunate enough to start here in the Philippines when no one was essentially building their brand in SEO. And all the companies that are competing in SEO during that time, 2010, they were all black hats and gray hats. So up to today, there's so many gray hats here in the Philippines, and SEO Hacker is arguably the only white hat here, the only white hat company here in the Philippines. And we're very well known for that because we've never been penalized and our rankings have always stayed. When it comes to owning long tail keywords, I would say if your website is not that competitive, meaning your link profile, because links matter. Links pointing to your site from other websites that are relevant to you or other news sites that are relevant to you. If you get a lot of links, your link profile is good, healthy, you're well linked to your site, you're cited in other news articles or other blog articles. They're talking about BizB, they're posting about BizB. Your authority in Google increases. Then you can have a go for the fat heads. But if you don't have that, you got no choice but to go for the long tail. Yeah.
Got it. So how I see this, that for amateurs like me, start with the long tail because it's a bit easier to compete on several niches rather than on the big. But after a while, after you have sufficient content and you're strong on several niches, you can start making progress. And of course, budget-wise, the long tail should be slightly easier/cheaper in order to compete rather than going for the best keywords where people are not just going to work on SEO, they can also work on ads. Like, okay, if someone types B2B lead generation, ads in order to just get ahead of the organic part. And that's actually interesting because a lot of people are saying SEO is important. And of course it's important. I mean, you can make the absolutely best content out there. If nobody knows about it, that's it. And the second question I got here, Sean, was that to which degree we should focus the SEO toward human readability versus robot readability. And by that, I mean, like, yeah, you do need to make a content. You mentioned good, like keywords, density. So how informative and how easy is to read by a human, but also the balance here is that you need to tell Google, so the robot that's gonna scroll and scrape the content should also be readable for them. And now I can make two extremes where one is very readable, very good, but then Google does not index it, and then you have a problem. While on the other hand, those spammy content that is just keywords, and they don't care about the human that they're gonna read. All they care is just how to be more polite to the robot that's gonna crawl. And it's going to be first on Google, but when I read it, I'm saying this is stupid content. So where is the balance? I mean, I know that none of those two extremes are good because, you don't want the one, you don't want the other. But is it really 50-50, or you should be more focused toward the human or a bit more toward the robot?
That's a good question. And you answered it fairly well already when it comes to the robot extreme. Like, even if you rank well, but people come in and they realize that your marketing team is an idiot because of the way that things are written in your website, you're not going to get their business, right? So it's self-defeating to do it that way. Both are not mutually exclusive. And I wouldn't say, even if I say they're not mutually exclusive, I wouldn't say that you have to have a 50-50 mix. I would always tell people to write for human beings, because at the end of the day, it's humans who's going to read your content and decide whether they want to do business with you or not. But at the same time, you don't want to be zero. Yeah, it's with the but. Yeah, definitely. You don't want to be zero when it comes to your rankings, because you're also right in saying that what use is a really well-written article if it's not ranking and there's no eyeballs reading it. But here's the thing. Even if you actually don't write for robots, like there's zero robotic intention or keywords inside or manipulation inside, if a lot of people, a lot of other blogs, a lot of other webmasters, a lot of other news sites use your article as a resource, it's still going to rank pretty darn well. So in SEO, there's three major things that you're looking at. Mm-hmm. One is the copy. Copywriting is really important. How you write, your writing voice, your tone, the layout of your article, how easy it is to read both on mobile and on desktop. Then there's the technical side of SEO, and that's the site speed, the site security. That's the code in terms of, did you put a lot of interstitials or ads in there, or did you keep it clean? And then lastly, there's the marketing aspect, and this is where a lot of people miss out. Like, they miss out in telling so many other people who might be interested in linking to your article or citing it as a source or simply retweeting it. They miss out on that stuff, because usually when you're doing SEO, you hire people who are either good in one or two of these things, and that's it. And usually it's just one of these things. Like, you hire a writer and that's it. He or she's a writer. It's not a marketer. She's not a programmer. And rarely do you see someone who is really good in all three. Rarely. It's extremely rare person.
Yeah, but you're actually making a great point so far. I was thinking as a duality between human versus machines. And you answered that for me, that human actually should get more points compared to the machine. But now you're making as a decision between three things. So whether it's human versus machines versus marketing, linking back to the article. And of course, ideally, you need the three, have the best copy so people will read it, have the best tech part, so it will be really good index, and the best marketing, which means too many links and everything. But the point was that we humans have limited budget or time or resources. So if you had 100 points to allocate between these three categories, I was just trying to compare them, Sean, which one is heaviest, then the second, then on the third spot, and by how much. For example, you can say, just gossiping, 80% of the points should go to the copy, 10% should go to tech, and 10% should go to marketing, or 80% should go to marketing, for example. And this is me now hypothetically saying, because of course, Sean, in this kind of work, it depends on the industry, it depends on so many variables that I cannot go into now. But I was just curious, if you need to choose 100 points to allocate to these three categories, how will you actually allocate it?
When we're talking about budget here, right? The 100 points.
Budget, time, resources, because some could be really importance. It's not budget, importance of each of the three, on the overall SEO success. Because if I say budget, some of the technical parts could be very cheap and very simple. Or marketing there could be a hack that can be done easily. But when we're talking about importance, is how important it is in relation to the other.
I would say in SEO hacker, it's pretty tough. Like I would always liken it to building a skyscraper. So when you build a skyscraper, this is almost exactly how you should think about the 3-pronged approach to SEO. When you build a skyscraper, you have a grand vision, it's tall, it's going to generate ROI for you because you're going to get people renting it out, some people buying some of the units. First of all, you have to dig very deep because it's a very tall building. So your foundation has to be deep and strong. That is technical. If you don't got technical, however big, strong, and nice it is, when an earthquake hits it, it's going to fall crashing down. So that's technical SEO, the foundation. Now, the building of the skyscraper, that is your copywriting. That's what people see, read, and that's what wows them and should grip them. And how you market that skyscraper, once it's built, it's nice, it's the tallest building in X city, in Y country. How you market that's the marketing part of SEO. So without that, you're not going to get any business. You're not going to get any people flocking into your skyscraper, and how, it's useless why you built that entire thing. So that's exactly how we look at it in the SEO industry. So I can't really say just put like 10, 20% in technical, because if you don't got technical right, even if you put like 80% there, that entire SEO campaign is going to crumble down. So let me I just needed to paint that context because I don't want to mislead your listeners.
But if I'm looking at the skyscraper, it means then it's 33 to 33. All of 3 are equally important, because without the foundation, whatever you do, it's going to crash. Without the building, you just have a land. And without the marketing, nobody will rent it. So but here's
the thing. The most expensive part of building a skyscraper is actually building the thing. So actually content should be the biggest budget and effort and time.
So in budget wise, the copy it's interesting, because I find it many times, there are freelance copywriters and they're going to give you, I don't know, a lot of words per day. And I don't know how they really do it, but the whole point is like 1,000, 2,000 words every day. And I'm like, well, how do you actually even do a proper research and actually provide quality content? And while we're talking just on the content, John, I've realized recently this year, there were a lot of AI in the content sphere that are trying to say, you know what, you just give us the topic, we're going to create the content for you. I've never tried it, so I was curious, you're in the field. How does that work actually?
Oh, we haven't tried it. So in SEO Hacker, we have a sizable writing team. So there's content writers and they do the research and the writing. And then we have our editorial team who checks it, edits it.
Oh, nice.
Puts in all of the SEO seasonings inside and then hits the publish button. So the reason why I have that, and they're all in-house, I don't outsource, is because I'm so meticulous about the quality of the stuff that we put out to our clients. And that's also because we charge a premium price. SEO Hacker, I think, is one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive SEO company here in the country. That's because we do it all white hat and we're very meticulous. We go the extra mile. We're very excellent when it comes to our content, right? And then that's the reason why we do it all in-house. With what you're asking me in terms of these AIs, I haven't tried it. I can't really give you a qualified answer, but in my opinion, it will only go so far, right? Because how smart is AI right now outside of Google, of course, because Google has 2 AIs running in their search engine. But outside of that, how smart would the AI be today? And I don't think it's that smart yet, especially with calculating velocity between words and how engaging it would be to a human being.
But I don't think the right vocabulary, because it's not just putting all the words. It needs to, when a writer comes in and they start with shuzzling, with some words that add some tone, some soul to the writing, rather than compared to fully calculated sentence that are this keyword.
That's right.
And I mean, I've never tried. That's why I just thought your opinion. But if you're also believing that, yeah, for you, quality of the content is a must. So that's why you're saying, you know what? I actually have a team people that they can do the work and they can guarantee that everything is perfect rather than, just use a tool or something.
Yeah.
And I did have one more question, Sean, on this subject while we are, is that when it comes to the content, now I'm looking from an SEO perspective, which type of content is actually best for your website? I mean, I know that written, I hope that it's better than the others, but my question was in two directions. First is in different type of mediums. So compared written with audio podcasting with video, like we're doing this recording. So that's like the one way. And the other way is that within the written, which part of it works best, whether blogs are still the king because you have enough meat to put in it, or maybe news, or maybe actually, I'm just educated guess here, so I really have no idea. So I was just curious to pick your brain on the topic.
For sure. Well, there's an easy way to put it, Dancho, and it's looking at the intention of the users. When a user listens to a podcast, what is the intention? It's usually to learn something new. It's not usually to engage in business or to look for a supplier. When a person is on YouTube looking at videos, it's usually also to learn something new. If they're watching videos that are useful in terms of their personal growth, it's usually to learn something new so that they can grow themselves. Otherwise, it's entertainment. And YouTube has a lot of videos about entertainment. So you look at the intent of users in these certain platforms, and you realize that the platform that is mostly used for business, when you're looking for a supplier, a provider of services, or a merchant that trades a certain item you're looking for, that's going to be the written word. You're looking at Google search, not the news, not YouTube, and not podcasts. So I would say it is critical for you to have the written word in your website.
Nice. And now within the written word, which one do you think is actually a website, what kind of written it could have? It could have case studies, it could have portfolios, it could have, what do we have actually? The blogs, which are a lot. It could have, news section where they can post news around it. They can do curated news maybe because you can just collect from different sources and put. So, you really have more than a decade worth of experience in the SEO. And so when it comes to the written, what has shown the best results, Sean?
You're always going to have a funnel. So the first written word content that you got to have is the discovery funnel. The intention funnel, not the discovery. So discovery is done. You're skipping discovery when you get people coming in from search. They're already in the intention or interest.
They found you.
Yeah. So when people come from the interest level of the funnel, it's usually they're looking for some information about a certain problem that they have. Those are the kinds of people that you would want to serve and pull further down your funnel. So I'm going to give you an example. There's one client of mine before that is selling software as a service. So they're selling software basically to freelancers and small businesses who want to do their own tax stuff, right? Filing of taxes, which is not sexy at all. And they asked me for help because they weren't getting a lot of growth and their runway was running thin and dry. So I looked at their business and I looked at what people are searching for when it comes to taxes. And then they're searching for how to fill up specific forms. Like the form code itself, they're searching for that. Not a lot of people and companies would try and go and rank for these things because who cares, right? The government would, but the government websites here in the Philippines, in my professional opinion, is really, really bad. So we went ahead and wrote articles about those forms. And the articles we wrote were almost DIY. This is what this form is for. This is how often you have to file it. These are the deadlines. So we did like an FAQ type definitive study per form, published it on the site. Obviously, people are going to be able to do it themselves, but we have call to actions there. For example, oh, you don't have a copy of the form? Download it here. Just fill up your name and email. And once they put in their name and email, they're a captive audience because they're now plugged into our email marketing platform. Yeah. And then we nurture them. That is how we push them further down the funnel. We tell them, you know what? We can do this for you for X amount. You know what? You could use our platform because we're certified by the government tax agencies here in the Philippines. And when you submit it using our platform, it's on the cloud, it's 24/7 up, all of these things to nurture the potential client and pushes them to sign up to our freemium account. That is the funnel that you're going to want to have. So in your case, you have the discovery articles and landing pages, and which is super helpful for them. You're giving them like 90% of the value that you have, but the 10% of the most difficult part of what they want, that's what you are going to hook them with. No one likes going to the government offices to file taxes here, Dancho. No one likes it because there's so many
international headache. It's not just in Philippines. Nobody wants to do it.
Yeah. So there you go. And that's the part where we hook these people up. So you're gonna have all sorts of content from the interest phase down to the conversion and to the retention or loyalty phase.
Got it. Sean, I'm actually looking at the time. We need to start wrapping things up.
Sure.
I'm curious where people can find you. I mean, I'm sure that some people will have questions about SEO, or some would be even interested taking a step further. So what's the best way people to reach you?
Right. So I have my website, Sean.c. That's my name, SEAN.SI. That's the URL. There's no .com, .org, or .net, just Sean.c. Nice. And you'll be able to find me there. That's my personal website. I do public speaking, and you can inquire from that. Or if you want to check out our blog, our SEO blog and company, it's SEO Hacker. So you can type SEO-hacker.com or SEO Hacker without the -.com. It redirects to the same place. That's what I do. That's my business. If you want to learn more about SEO, we publish twice a week in the blog, and you could read that stuff and learn from it as well. Yeah, basic and advanced SEO we publish there, and it's all free.
Well, what I'm going to do is actually, I'm just going to add the links that you've mentioned just below the video, so anybody can actually click it. And Sean, just in closing, I'm a good student. So actually, I was taking notes as you were talking.
Wow.
Lots of notes. I actually have several golden nuggets I wanted to summarize in case someone missed it, or in case I've noticed someone didn't, or maybe actually found something else that want to tell me. But a few things that I really enjoyed talking with you. I mean, first was that general keywords versus niche. I had no idea that there is a fat head with a long tail approach. And I mean, I had no idea that even existed, but now that as you were talking, it gave me idea that, yeah, I should go for the long tail and then eventually go toward the 3 to 4 fat keywords that, everybody are searching for. So that was really useful. I had no idea that there are 200 ranking factors on Google. Man, that takes time and knowledge and expertise to just know them. And then they change the algorithm, and then they're, not 200 different, but different importance, and they add few and they exclude few. So that's really useful to know. When it comes to tech versus human, I thought that the human should win because quality should triumph quantity. But then you've actually added me a third dimension that, it's the copy, but it's also the tech, and it's also the marketing, because the marketing is actually backlinking back to you. Because even if you create a good blog, if it's not ranked higher, nobody will read it, unfortunately. And when it comes to Medium, I never thought about that written is for people that want to solve a problem, and the audio and video is actually to learn. And I mean, now that you've mentioned it, it was like, duh, it's so obvious. We're talking on this video interview in order to help educate people on the importance of SEO. But it's really people want to learn. And some people, while they commute to work, they can put a podcast on. I do a lot of listening of podcasts. And as I run or as I exercise, I'm not solving a problem. I'm just trying to educate myself to be a better owner. And when it comes to the content, you have a problem, you open up Google and you're like, and then you start searching. Google, tell me this, how to solve this, 5 steps, 3 steps, what to do, how to do it. And then it means that the content is actually there. So it was not just one lesson at a time. I actually got several golden nuggets out of this conversation, Sean. And I really wanted to thank you for coming on this podcast. And for everybody that is listening, feel free to reach out to Sean. I mean, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, he got me lost in the density on the where to place it on the header or on that. And I was like, okay, maybe that's for the technical part. But for me, it was really understanding the strategy behind the SEO, because once you know the strategy, as you said, Sean, for different companies, it's different need and different intent. And for us, once we understand the strategies, then we know which strategy works best for us. So if I was an online coach or an online trainer, well, then maybe video is going to work even better for me because I need to teach, and that's the goal. While if I have an agency or done for you, well, in that case, the written content should be better because I need to attract people that have a particular problem. So, Sean, you actually opened several headaches for me, because after this, I'm going to have to look a bit on what kind of keywords are we running against and what are we doing. And yeah, I will get stuck and then I'll just give you a call and like, hi, Sean, it was nice talking to you. Let's talk again. But yeah, I really want to thank you for coming to the show. And for everybody else, I want to wish you to have a great day.
Thanks so much, Dancho. And don't tell your team all of their new tasks came from me, okay?
I'll try to skip that part. I can also watch the recording, so unfortunately. Nice talking to you, Sean. Thank you again.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you. Thank you.